Well, good morning, my friends. Welcome back to GP Outdoors. Today I want to do a follow-up on the woodshed request, the video number 256. I issued out about just over a month ago asking for any ideas or shed build designs from you good folks. So I want to get the draw done for the thank you gift to all you good folks that were kind enough to send in your submissions or your ideas. And most importantly, you folks deserve an explanation, and I'm going to provide you an explanation today. Hope you'll grab a coffee and stick around for a few minutes with me. Let's go for a walk. On a fairly regular basis over the last couple of years, I'll get a comment or two from people saying to me, GP, you need a garage. You've got to build a garage. The comments usually escalate or become more numerous through the winter months when, of course, I get comments of people saying, man, it looks like you're cold back there with that tractor. You really need to build some kind of a garage or a workshop. Get your tractor indoors, get all your equipment in, and get out of the cold. And I don't disagree with you one bit. When I asked you folks for some ideas and designs on building a simple woodshed here to put my stacked wood and somewhere I could put my sand for the winter, but what really came to light was the overwhelming number of responses from people saying, GP, forget the woodshed, you need a garage. You need to build a garage. Not to build the woodshed, but to build a pole barn or some kind of a pole structure so I could store all my equipment in my tractor. I need to explain to you why that's not going to happen here. I know that I'm fortunate that I have a lot of subscribers from all over the world now, largely in the US, Europe, the UK, Australia, all kinds of different places, and of course Canada. So for you geography buffs, the cottage that I have here is situated in and around central Ontario in Canada. And we're right smack in the heart of what's called the Canadian Shield. The Canadian Shield basically extends from the far north reaches, north of Ontario or central Canada, and believe it or not, goes for a very, very long way. It passes through the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, possibly some of the provinces to the east of Quebec. And for those that may not know, if you're a trivia buff, the Canadian Shield also extends right down into the northeast US states. It's a big area. But what it's best known for, rock. Lots and lots of rock. And I don't mean, just big old rocks and boulders and stones. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of miles of granite or hard stone rock shelves that carry on through the entire area. And depending on where you live throughout that Canadian Shield, depends on how much exposure you have to those rock shelves. In this area up here, as you folks know, if you follow the channel, this whole area is sitting on a rock shelf that is very, very close to the ground surface. So that's why you'll see outcroppings spread throughout my property, such as this one, where we have a shelf that runs, and you can see in the summertime especially, each of these pieces of the rock shelf that continue to surface out of the ground and then disappear. Or this other cropping that goes right through this area here, and is primarily at or just slightly above the surface. I guess the point that I was trying to make clear is that I find the rock beautiful. I love the way it emerges out of the middle of the lawn or out of the middle of the property and then just disappears again. It's gorgeous up here, but you can't dig up here. You'll remember on video number 258, which I released about a month ago, I did an overview and a walkthrough on the cottage build that I did here on the property. And you'll recall I put pictures in there to show you how shallow the crawl space is under this basement and the rock shelf that exists below it, because the entire cottage is pinned, as they call it, to the rock shelf. And there's no basement to speak of, because the rock shelf floats, as you've seen throughout the property, just below the surface in a lot of areas. So I know what you're thinking. You're saying, GP, stop being so dramatic. Surely you can dig some holes. Everybody digs holes, post holes. Get an auger, rent an auger, put an auger on the back of your tractor. Well, I tried. The fact is, nobody up here digs post holes or any types of holes in the ground with an auger. They dig it by hand. When I tried to get the holes dug for my farm gate, I actually called 2 different contractors to come in to dig them. Neither one of the companies use an auger. They dig by hand. And of course told me that no other company digs with an auger up here. Too much rock. Auger's going to get broken. Not to mention, they wouldn't give me a firm price on digging 3 post holes. Neither company would commit to getting it 4 feet down. And the lowest estimate I got from one of them was $1,500, an estimate, not a firm price, to dig 3 post holes. So I thought to myself, I'm a pretty resourceful guy. I contacted 2 different rentals, one just northwest of me here and one south of me. One of them doesn't even carry an auger, and the second one that has the auger told me that he'd rent it to me, but without insurance, and that I'd have to sign a release waiver that said I was fully responsible for any damage done to the auger or the bit. In general, they both said the same thing to me. I'll summarize. They both laughed or kind of, giggled a little bit, politely. One of them asked me if I was new to the area, but both of them basically said nobody ever digs with an auger up here because they can't. And the only company that you're going to find that has any type of an auger, and I forget the name of it, but it's basically an auger designed to go through rock, are large construction companies that do highway development. So as a last-ditch effort, I thought, hey, I've got a tractor now. I'll just get an auger for the back of the tractor. Called a farm equipment company. Said they don't have them in, but they can sell me one. But that nobody, yes, that's right, nobody drills with an auger in this area, because you can't. He said he'd sell me an auger, but it wouldn't come with a warranty, because he said he's pretty sure that I'm either going to damage the transmission on my tractor, or I'm definitely going to break the auger trying to dig in this ground. The bottom line is there's going to be no pole barn here, and certainly no structure that requires digging into the ground and setting posts. Can't do it. But I did want to fill you in as to why I have not built a garage yet. I had an excavation company come in many years ago, and they cleared this area behind me that you see from the forest, because this is where I'd like to build the garage. Makes sense, meets all of the municipal bylaw setbacks from the lake and all those good things, and it's a great area to have the garage. They came in, cleared the area out, and then I went to start getting quotes and different architectural designs for the garage that I wanted to put here. I got 3 different garage designs drafted up. Basically anywhere from 36 by 40 to 40 by 50. Then went out, called the excavation company that initially cleared this land, as well as got a second quote and opinion from a second excavation company. And here's what I found out. As you look over behind me, or the way the drone is currently floating, you're looking at the north end of this lot. The forest, or the land up here, has a gentle slope from north to south down and feeds into the lake. Over, I guess, decades or centuries, whenever it rains and we've got precipitation, over time the forest has, created its own little tributaries and little creeks to drain the water out coming southward towards the lake. This whole area here, as you see below you, as you can tell just as it's melting from snow, fills with water. The reason it does is because the rock shelf and the land elevation is higher on the north end than it is here on the south. But then as you come to the south end of this little clearing, you'll see you reach the beginning of my parking lot. And you'll notice there's a big hump here because, of course, the rock shelf emerges back up out of the ground here, causing a big difference in elevation between where my parking area is and this clearing, and as it clears out from the forest. As you can see here on this side, or the west side of this clearing, this hill that you're seeing here, this is all part of one big ongoing rock shelf. And the rock comes up and then it drops down into the ground here, into this basin. Both excavation companies gave me the exact same opinion, recommendations, and generally speaking, roughly the same cost, which was enormous. Simply stated, the only way, or the best way, to build the garage here is they're going to need to scrape out all this organic material down to rock, which I think is pretty normal anyways. They're going to have to be able to pour their footings for the foundation of the garage and pin it to the rock, which is common up here. But the big cost is the cost of backfilling more than 2 feet of gravel before constructing and laying a floating floor. In order to properly construct the garage, or at least the foundation of the garage, the floor of the garage has to be at least 2 feet up from all of these undulations in order to exceed or to be higher than the elevation of this rock shelf. And then a lot of proper drainage has to be put in around that foundation to allow the water to be redirected from the forest through and around the foundation as opposed to the water going under the foundation. So the bottom line, my friends, is that the cost or the quotes I've received just to clear this area, build the foundation and footings, and pour that concrete floor exceeds the cost of the rest of the build of the garage. It's enormous. And I got 2 quotes from 2 very reputable companies. That's what stopped me from going any further with this garage build for now. Not suggesting for a minute I'm not going to have a garage here one day or some kind of a structure, but it certainly gave me pause to start looking at other options, you know, temporary buildings, Quonset type designs, other types of structures I might want to consider. Because at the end of the day, I don't want a dirt floor. I need a concrete floor and a proper sealed building. Because I mean, hey, it gets down to -40 sometimes here in the wintertime, and I have to consider all 4 seasons and the fact that if I am going to build something here, I want to make sure I can use it all the time, not just in certain months of the year, importantly. But in the meantime, for this summer, I am going to focus on some of your suggestions, your ideas as to what we're going to finally design here so that we can clean up this back area once and for all, get the wood in there and get a place for my sand for the winter, and at least get that looked after on a permanent basis. And I hope the explanation, although it might have been long, helps to explain the different type of geography that I have to deal with here, which may be very different from where you live. That being said, I think it's time to draw a name. Jan Skoropinski. Jan, thanks so much. I'm going to send you a note, and if you can send me forward all your address details, I'll get your thank you gift out to you right away. In closing, I just wanted to say I'm very, very grateful for all the support on the channel. We're about to turn 20,000 subscribers very shortly, or this week it appears. And I have to say that I'm very humbled and honest, never thought in a million years we'd have 20,000 people or friends online sharing our information and ideas. And I wanted to thank especially the longtime subscribers that have been with me since almost the beginning. I really appreciate the support, the advice, the ideas, the sharing. We've built a really nice online community here on the channel, and I hope we can continue to go forward and build it even bigger. Have a wonderful week with your families. Be safe and be kind. I'll see you again on the next one. Cheers.